This program is brought to you by UCKG.
Hello and welcome to today's Love Talk Show.
Do you feel like your life is more dramatic than a soap opera? Do you find yourself looking for ways to cause drama in your relationships? Or maybe you gravitate towards others who are dramatic and you don't understand why?
Yes, and the funny thing is, people use words like fireworks and passion to describe a good, prosperous relationship. If there are no fireworks, then people dismiss the relationship as being boring. But fireworks are dangerous and they don't last. Am I right? In fact, they disappear after a second into darkness. Imagine watching a fireworks display every night. You would get sick of the noise, you would crave for peace and quiet, something that feels safe. It's the same thing with drama. You might feel addicted to the excitement that comes with it, with dramatic relationships, for instance, but it is not sustainable and it's not healthy.
It's true, but why do people look for it in first place?
So today, we are going to focus on this question. The good news is, a relationship doesn't need drama in order to be exciting. Don't believe me? Well, we have one woman here today who just couldn't help herself from seeking out drama. But now, well, you'll have to wait and see. But she is like a totally different person.
I'm very excited to speak to her. But before that, let's look at someone else who managed to turn their life around.
Hi, my name is Joseph.
Hi, and I'm Meredith.
Thank you, Edward and Ana, for having us on the show. This is how we met. This is our story. When I first saw her was when she started work at my workplace. I just remember she was being introduced to the staff. There was someone who was taking her around. It wasn't like love at first sight. It wasn't like a situation where I saw her and then I started seeing love hearts. No, I was just like, okay, hello, welcome. And that was it. And as the weeks and the months went on,
We had a second encounter.
Yeah, we had a second encounter, and this time I was working in a community event. Yeah, for me personally, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't interested in her. I wasn't interested in anyone. But I was just focused on volunteering in that event and getting people to speak to each other.
So it was like he was matchmaking, so you saw one female here, one male there, and I believe it was someone that wanted to speak to me. But then later we went to a seminar and okay, we saw each other again when I was exiting.
And it got a point for me where I said, you know what, I want to start investing in my love life for myself. And when I started thinking about that, I remembered her. I remembered her face. I remembered that I had seen her around. I remembered that I'd seen her at work and in the event as well. And I said to myself, okay, let me approach this person. Let me speak to this person. Let me see what this person is about. Let me see how that person is. So I summoned up the courage. And I went to go and speak to her. We wasn't alone. We took our time to think about who we were, what we wanted, and then to decide if we was going to go ahead with the relationship. It was important that we're on the same page. And eventually, with time, we allowed ourselves to have that room to breathe. I gave you that time to really think. And I remember that you spoke to me and you told me, like, you know what, look, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is where I want to go. And you were ready to move forward. You were ready to move forward with the relationship.
I remember for me, it would have been easier just to, forget about this relationship, just forget and get on with my life as I was doing. That would have been very easy for me, but because of like a gut feeling, like when you just know, like, I think it's a female thing, I don't know, like intuition, you just know.
I came from a life or a background where I'd been very used to doubting myself, doubting my decisions, listening to what everybody else wanted for my life, but not what I wanted for myself. So for me, taking that step was me allowing myself to trust myself, to believe in what I'm doing and not necessarily what A, B, or C wants for me, but what's good for me. And so we decided to go ahead to start dating and getting to know each other a lot more. I remember we would speak a lot more. We would contact, I would message her on the phone. We would go to places, we would go to cinema, we would go out, we'd just go for a walk. Even before we had properly started dating, I knew in myself that I want to be happily married. And over that period of time, I was observing you to get to know you, to see, if you fit the categories that I had placed in myself. So I knew that I wanted someone who had a good character. I wanted someone who, shared the same beliefs that I have, and someone who would, in other words, help me to, achieve my goals, and for me to also help that person to achieve their goals, to help that person with what they had to do and complete that person's happiness. I started to see over time those things inside of you. I started to see that you had a good character, you had strong morals, strong principles, and I said to myself, wow, if I make this person my wife, then they're gonna help me in everything. Not only in just the physical things that I do for work and the goals that I have, but this person's gonna help me as a person. If this person sees that I'm, slipping in any way because of your principles and the way that you are, it would inspire me.
Did I have, some doubts? I would say not doubts, but I had I'll question myself, am I ready? Because I wasn't thinking about being in a relationship at that time. So would I be ready? Would I be able to, to handle it, to be able to juggle being in a relationship? All of these things I was thinking about whether it will really work, because I had to make this decision and decide, because I didn't want to be a person that was jumping from relationship to relationship. I didn't want that at all. So if I was going to be in this relationship, something has to come out of it, whether I'm just going to be a better person. But I knew that, okay, go in this relationship. I didn't know how it would end, I didn't know, but I just went.
There would be a lot more denial of myself in getting to know you, spending time with you. I've learned that for a relationship to be successful, it would require me sacrificing sometimes the things that I like. Coming out of that mindset of having a single life can no longer remain there, because I won't be single anymore. Allowing myself to adapt to the way that you are, because I know there'll be things that I won't like. There'll be habits that you might have or that I might have that you don't like. It's required that I allow myself to adapt to my new environment, to my new way of life, with obviously being married now. And of course that goes to my finances as well. I can't just think about myself. I have to make provision for my new family, for obviously bills, really coming out of that mindset of I'm alone now. I'm not alone, I'm now with someone. So everything is split by two.
And for myself as well, understanding that there's someone that, even though he'll be the man of the relationship, but someone that I have to take care of as well. So things that, like growing up, he had, he had his mom, he had his family helping him with, it'll be down to me. Of course, I have a commitment also to help him to be better myself, of course, every day, but help him to reach new levels, to be a better man, and to allow him to really discover more of the amazing person that he is on the inside. More of himself, and just to become better.
Edward and Ana, you've heard of our story.
So thank you, Edward and Ana, for this program, because it's been helping us quite a lot, segments inside of it and everything. So thank you. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So we decided to jump in here in the middle of this break because we know, Anna, that if there's something certain about marriage is that it also carries in itself problems.
Yeah, and many times couples, they don't have the right weapons to fight the problem.
That's right. That's why we are bringing here these two books, which are excellent reads. One of them is called 120 Minutes to Shield Your Marriage, and the other one is called Bulletproof Marriage. They were written by the same couple, Renato and Cristiane Cardoso, who also went through difficult challenges in their marriage, and they're sharing here how they overcame and also helping many other couples around the world.
Include us, right?
Absolutely. Yes. So if you want to have more tools on how to deal with difficult situations in your relationship, these two books are a must read for you. So to find out how to get them, you can visit our website, lovetherapy.co.uk, or send us an email or even give us a call. We'll continue watching Love Talk Show. Don't go anywhere.
Today, the Love Talk team invited us to go on a different day, to do some painting on a piece of ceramic and afterwards give us a gift to one another. So, do you accept the challenge? Would like to go?
I'm very excited to learn something new and to come out of our comfort zone, right?
So let's go and do it.
Yes, let's go.
We are about to learn something new, something that we never did before, and we're really excited about that.
Yes, I'm very excited to learn something new and spend time with my love.
So, what we're going to do today then?
Okay, so at Zebra Ceramics we do pottery painting. We're quite well known for turning something as plain as that into something as beautiful and shiny as this. I'm going to show you how to create something really lovely there. So basically we have all the paints on this mug here, all the colours that we have. They match those pots of paints over there. The colours change in the kiln, so what we suggest you do is start with one colour, squeeze a little bit of paint in to choose a colour that you like, and I'm sure it's all about love, so red's going to be part of it. So as you notice, the colours do look very different. Squeeze a little bit of paint in there. Paint what you need to do on this mark, and when you finish with that colour, wash the brush, dry the brush on the tissue paper, look on the mug, choose the next colour and keep going till you've decorated your mug as beautifully as you like. You leave it with us and we will glaze it and fire it and put it in our kilns, and when you get it back it will be as beautiful and bright and shiny as this one, and then you can use it.
Very nice.
So I hope you're feeling very creative.
Yes.
Good,
We've
good.
never done it before.
No, that's all right. That's not a problem at all. We're going to get you something that you'll enjoy doing. Are you painting for each other?
Yes.
Yeah, so Cara loves coffee, so I'm going to make a very nice mug so that when I
Nice.
prepare her coffee, it's going to be even nicer.
There we go. So I'm looking forward to your designs.
Oh my god. I'm done. So, what have you done?
Ta-da!
So sweet of you. But look at the mess that she did. They always say that the man is the disorganized one, the messy one. Look at hers. Look at mine.
All neat and tidy.
Okay, so tell me, what did you do for me?
So here it shows, first of all, it's for you, but for you, whenever you drink from it, you remember me. So you know I have a very bubbly character, right? Mm-hmm. So here I have written a little bit of things that represents you. So I said, to my love, and I said that I love you even more every day. Mm-hmm. Says you're brave, sweet, loving and caring.
Yeah, I am
you're
the one
smart.
that kills the cockroaches, the insects when they fly into their hair.
You're smart and strong.
Okay.
Then I put here the date, so whenever you drink from it, you're gonna remember all the things that I admire about you.
Okay, so here is mine. Look at this. So we have here spring full of fruits, summer full of leaves and life. I have here a tree in autumn, the leaves falling and no orange, red. And the last one, a very dry, no tree. A dry one representing the winter. So my love grows for you in every season. So that's what it means. You know that in winter, that's when the tree grows, in the roots. It's the moment that no one sees the tree growing. We don't see fruits, don't see leaves, don't see anything there, but the tree is growing underneath. You see that the next spring will always be better, and there'll be always more fruit and more flowers than the season before, because winter, when no one is saying, it's growing more. So even in hard moments, I learned how to love you more.
Aww,
so,
this is for you.
Thank you very much.
Aww.
And this is for you. Love declaration. I was preparing this since we left. Okay, that's it.
Yes, that's it. We're very happy.
Welcome back. Now, we all know someone who has constant relationship drama to tell you about. And if you don't, then it might be you.
Yes, today's topic is drawn to drama, and you have a guest in today who was completely addicted to dramatic situations.
Before we talk to her, I want to look into why people end up in cycles like this.
So why are people drawn to drama? Well, there's actually a biological explanation. Dramatic situations give the brain a rush of the chemicals adrenaline and dopamine, and it's very easy to become addicted to the feelings that these give you. As a result, you keep on looking for ways to make your life more dramatic. Drama is also a great distraction from what you really need to be dealing with in life. Not only is it easier to project your own issues onto someone else than to look at your own behaviour, but it also allows you to fill up your brain so that you don't have to deal with or think about what you could do to improve your own life. Or maybe you were brought up in a drama-filled household. Maybe you remember your parents shouting and screaming at each other over tiny things. If this was the case, you probably feel like drama is completely normal and even a healthy aspect for a relationship. Lastly, if you find yourself being drawn to drama, it can say a lot about your own self-worth. You might expect the worst because you don't believe you deserve to be treated well, so you deliberately sabotage things before they get bad. By predicting the worst-case scenario, you give yourself a false sense of control. But ultimately, you're reacting out of fear that you aren't enough without the drama.
So, Anna, I think the last point was very interesting. We might cause drama because we feel like we're not enough as we are. And I think that's one of the worst situations, when you start feeling that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, then you start putting up with sometimes situations and even people and behavior that actually you shouldn't be putting up with,
Yes.
right?
In most cases, fear in a relationship causes people to feel insecure or jealous, to lie, to want to please everyone, and to stress out, and many other negative things.
Yes, that's right. True love casts out fear. For the relationship to truly be good, each spouse needs to trust not only each other, but also themselves.
This ties in with drama because to look for drama is a sign that you are living out of a fear mindset. You are predicting the worst and not the best. You are preparing yourself for things that haven't even happened.
We're gonna go now to a break, but when we come back, we'll discuss our guest story. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this. Hello, dear viewer. If you are dealing with difficult problems in your relationship, such as
Fights,
or healing from a harsh breakup,
jealousy,
communication issues, or things of the like, come to the Love Therapy this Thursday and every Thursday at 8 p.m. in Finsbury Park, 232 Seven Sisters Road, N4, 3NX. For more information, visit our website, lovetherapy.co.uk. See you here.
see you.
Welcome back to Love Talk Show, and Anna, we are talking about drawn to drama.
Yes.
And it's a very pertinent topic, right? Because many people are still being affected by this.
Yes, and many times they are drawn to drama since they were little kids, right?
Yes.
In the house, around the house, so...
And we're not able actually to overcome this. Good that you mentioned this, because today, here, we have a guest on the show who is joining us today. Sharon, how are you doing, Sharon?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thanks for coming to the Love Talk Show.
Thanks for being here.
Okay.
Thank you. It's lovely being here.
And you were telling us, even before we started recording here, that you had a little bit of an experience with some drama from the early days, yes?
I did. When I first started primary school, on the very first day, I was teased by the eldest girl there. I didn't really understand what was happening, because obviously your very first day at school, you've got many expectations anyway, and you want things to go well, and you want to make new friends, which I did, but unfortunately I also met her as well. She didn't like me. I don't know why, but it was just a thing. She didn't ever say why. But my objective, because I realised very quickly that she was treating me very differently compared to others, I tried my best to get her to like me, so I did everything possible. Talking to her in a different way, smiling with her more, trying to be close to her, you know, just doing anything that if I could see or that I observed that she was doing to others in which she liked from them, I then tried to do it. But the effect of that just didn't work. She didn't like me, and that was that. I remember there was one incident where I brought skipping rope to school, and I was really excited, and I thought, she's going to like me now. I brought the skipping rope, it's going to be fantastic. So I brought this skipping rope in, and everybody else was playing with it, and she didn't know that the skipping rope belonged to me. So she got involved in the game, and they were all skipping together, and it made me so happy because she was involved and she was smiling, and I thought, oh, she likes me, she likes me.
Like, this time,
Yeah.
I did what I needed
Exactly.
to do. I got it right.
Yeah, I thought, oh, everything's okay now. She likes me because of the rope, you know, as you do when you're young, you know. But one of the girls indicated that it was mine, and her reaction to that was utter disgust. She threw it on the ground. She didn't want to play anymore. She then turned to me, and she made me feel really uncomfortable. I remember running away after that. I spent a lot of times in the toilets at school because of that, because I think when you're trying to impress someone, when you're doing your best to be someone that you're not, and then everything goes wrong. It just doesn't work, and it just makes you feel bad internally. So
yes, Sharon, you're mentioning something very important, because I believe many people, Anna, who are watching are even relating to this, because sometimes in school, of course, everybody has very good experiences in school, but sometimes very bad ones too. And this kind of situation, bullying being one of them. Back in the days, we didn't have this term bullying, but sometimes kids had issues at home, right? And they didn't know how to deal with these issues. So many times they would bring this right to school, and the aggression or the bullying, or the teasing, and the thing is, some people deal with it easily, right? People, it's no big deal, but to others, it's really something that bothers them, right?
And many times, even the adults, they don't know how to deal with feelings. Imagine the children or teenagers.
That's right. And you said that because of this, which I know to some people, they would deal with this easily even as children, but to you it wasn't something easy to deal with, because that created like a root, right? It left a mark.
It really did. I mean, because of that, obviously I had that for a whole year and I didn't tell anyone. But the reason why I didn't say anything at that time was because everything she said to me, I thought everything she said was me. So I took it on board, and it was very personal. And then when she left, I remember thinking, wow, that's what I'm like, But it turned me into a person that was very defensive. After she left, what I ended up doing was the people at school who were being teased, who were being bullied, like there was this girl, she was a bit plump, and she did get bullied because of that. So I would make sure that I intervened and I had a go at them. So if there's anyone that that was being put down for anything, I made sure I was the one that was. I basically confronted these people, and it did make me very confrontational. But I really didn't care. The bigger it was, the more I wanted that. There were times when I used to egg people on because I wanted that. If something wasn't going on there, so I would encourage it, if you like. But I wouldn't let anyone get away with putting someone else down because of the way they looked or the way they felt. And I found that throughout my school life, I always went round with people who were like that. So I ended up looking after them. But it wasn't a conscious thing. It was unconscious. It was just something I felt that I had to do, and I wanted to. The only problem with that was that as I got older, being very defensive and being very confrontational, I think you come across as really quite aggressive. So there are times where you're fine and you're talking and everything's okay. But if someone says something and it caused a trigger relating back to the past, then I would react.
And how did it affect in your relationships later on as an adult?
I think really badly. There was a time, for example, I remember I would be, again, it was that confrontation that I used to enjoy doing. I wanted to make sure I was in control. And that was my way of being in control. I had to have the last word. I had to say what I thought was right. It was so wrong, but at the time I wasn't even aware of what I was doing. But I was sticking to what I knew. I was sticking to that safety route. And for me, it was safety. Being very confrontational meant that I got in there before anyone got to me. So it was a protective layer, although it didn't appear to come across like that, but it was for me. But obviously, if you didn't know that was going on, you would just...
So originally, that was not part of your personality before that, right? To be confrontational, to be this person that you had to be in control. But this event kind of like made you change in that way, right?
Very much.
And just words that she said, and you
kept them.
You took it on board. That's a very, very important point here, Sharon, because many people, and that's why it's important. The first person we have to love, to learn to love, is ourselves.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
The issue is when you don't love yourself enough. I'm not saying that you have to love yourself, putting yourself on a pedestal and be too much in love with yourself. Everything with a balance, of course, but you do need to love yourself, because when you do, when you find ways to build up your self-esteem, right? To understand that even though what people say about you is important, take it with a grain of salt. What others say about you don't really define who you are. You need to know yourself. You need to invest in ways of knowing yourself and loving yourself, because if you don't, and you're going to take, especially harsh words, negative words, I know they hurt. Sometimes words can hurt more than an actual physical aggression, right? They can hurt more than a punch. Because sometimes, I as a child, of course, as a boy, you fight. I can remember some fights, but I don't remember many fights. But I remember also words that were said to me. You see, this is something you remember. Yeah. We're not talking about here physical aggression, but words that were spoken. And of course, you were young and naive, like we all, children are, young people are. You didn't have the structure at that moment to deal with it. But for years, we could say, right, that affected you, that kind of changed you to a person that was not the ideal person that you want to be. Would you agree with me?
I would.
Yes.
I became very insecure, like I said, very defensive. People would say things and they weren't aware that was a trigger from the past, and I would react to that. And it did make me very confrontational. It did make me very angry. And I always came across as a very confident person. I remember I even went to drama school. So, of course, I got on stage and I was the actress. But I wasn't the actress that everyone knew, because as soon as I got off the stage, I behaved in exactly the same way. But that wasn't really me, but that was fine, because I didn't want anyone to know what I was actually like. Right. Because what happened in the past, because she did hurt me as much as she did, I wanted to protect that. I wanted to protect me. So I thought, if anyone actually knows what I'm like, then they're going to hurt me like she did. So what I had to do...
You're just trying to protect yourself.
Yeah. So I wanted to get in there before they did. So and that was another thing that made me say things that I didn't really want to say. But I did, because I thought, well, if they can see this hard person, then they're not going to have a go at me or take advantage or put me down or make me feel insecure or uncomfortable. So I always prevented that by saying certain things to make sure they didn't say that.
But today, you have overcome that.
Yes, I have.
That issue doesn't affect you anymore,
no.
Right? Today you are a wife, you are a mother.
Yes.
And on the next segment, Sharon, I would like you to talk about what did you do to overcome this issue and to become the person that you are today, the stronger person that you are today, all right? Yes. So don't go anywhere. We're gonna go to a break now, but stay with us, because up next, we're gonna have the conclusion of Sharon's story here. I'm sure it is inspiring you, and even if you know someone who might be dealing with insecurity issues, who may be this defensive person, sometimes confrontational, when you say, well, what this lady is saying could help this person, why not give him a call, send him a text message and say, hey, tune into this program right now, because they'll get help too. We'll be back right after this.
Life is full of challenges. Is your love life one of them? Are you dissatisfied with it? Perhaps you are frustrated with the endless dramas. Unrequited love, marriages that fall apart, rejection, contempt, betrayal, the fear of being alone. Have you reached your limit? Do you want to give up on your love life? Does it seem to be one heartbreak after another? Wait, it is still possible to have a fulfilling love life. However, it is vital to transform your mindset before you can overcome anything. You can then have a fighting chance to conquer your happiness. Join us at the Love Therapy Seminar on Thursdays at 8 p.m. only at the Rainbow Theatre. And on the Love Talk Show, Saturdays and Sundays at 11 a.m. on MyTV Sky 191. Learn to love intelligently with Edward and Ana.
So welcome back to the Love Talk Show, and we are talking about drama in relationships. Anna, right?
Yes.
And we have Sharon here with us, right? So continuing your story here. So you said this situation in school affected you the whole year, and that year you changed.
Yeah.
Right?
How
you
old
became someone more.
you were that time?
I was, I was sitting here thinking about that. How old was I? I'm going to say between 5 and 7, because I had drama in regards to an incident which happened within the classroom, which was a teacher. He got us to do a maths lesson and a maths test that we had to do. And he told me to stand up and recite the 5 times table, which is actually a really easy thing to do, especially if you've been learning about it, you then know how to do it. But on that particular day, I remember standing up and I said the times table, and then I made a mistake. So I remember I stopped and I was about to continue, but I think he thought that I had forgotten what I needed to say, but I hadn't. But anyway, he was furious, and it was like he ridiculed me in front of the class, and he could not understand why I didn't know the 5 times table, and he was having a go. It made me feel really small. Like I said, I felt humiliated. I remember I was at the front of the class, and I remember turning around, and all the children were looking at me. But that, to me, turned into a trauma. It made me dislike teachers, it made me dislike maths, it made me think everybody thought I was a loser, it made me feel really insecure.
How was your household, your parents, the relationship in your house?
That was my only safe haven, if you like. That was the only place where I was really myself. Everybody treated me like Sharon. I didn't have to pretend or put anything on or be confrontational.
But imagine, Sharon, when people don't have a safe haven. When it's like this in school or at work or whatever environment outside the house, and they come home and it's worse sometimes, right? And we're talking about the impact of words, yes? And the importance of knowing yourself, loving yourself, right? That's the beginning. Sometimes people want to love someone else, which is, of course, it's natural, right? You want to build relationships. You want to have friends. You want to have, someone to love, right? You want to have a partner. You want to have a wife, a husband. You want to have family. But sometimes people forget this. They have this issue where they're severely affected by words, severely affected by other people's opinion. I know it affects us. But if we don't know ourselves enough, it can really affect us to the point we start believing this, right? If you hear enough from different people, you're stupid, you're dumb, you can't do this, you don't do anything right. If you're not careful, you start believing this and you start really saying, maybe I'm dumb, maybe I can't do things right, no. Of course, we're all different. We struggle with some things, but we are good at other things. But this is something that really is important. That's one, I could say that's one rule of intelligent love. Love talk is a show about intelligent love. And intelligent love teaches this. We could even put this, write this down somewhere. You're not ready to love someone if you don't love yourself first.
And that's why many people, they get into a relationship, they want someone to make them happy. But if they are not happy, they're not going to find happiness, because it's too much to expect from someone to make us happy, right?
And you were mentioning, Sharon, that even it affected you at some point, your relationship with your husband, because you were, right? You were mentioning here off camera that you would go after him and have a debate. Or how was the experience?
Yeah, and like you said, it did, because of the how I felt, it was a theme that ran through my relationships without me even knowing, without me thinking that everything's okay now, everything's fine. If you do not love yourself, it causes so many huge problems. And when you're with someone that you truly love, they all pop up. And they pop up at times when you are unaware, you're unsure of things. And then when they do, you feel a bit unstable. What's going on? Oh no, everything's okay. You try to convince yourself, everything's fine, don't worry about that. But then obviously things aren't. And you know something's wrong, but you can't work it out. But it's actually you not being able to control the situation, because you're thinking of all those problems and I've got to look after myself and I've got to protect myself. There was a time where I remember we were having an argument, and I used to call them a debate, and my other half didn't. He said they were an argument. I said no, they were a debate. You see, so even there I had a problem. And I remember he was just talking, you know, and he wanted the argument to stop. And I didn't, because in my head it hadn't finished. We had to come to a conclusion, and when it came to a conclusion, then everything was fine. There was a full stop. If there isn't a full stop at the end of this, we cannot carry on. So that was my idea of how I should participate within our relationship, but that was wrong. If he wants to stop talking about it, it means he needs a break. It means that he wants to think about what's going on. And with me chasing him around the room, going, you know, in and out, that's not helping him. And it really wasn't actually helping me, but I didn't actually know, no, Sharon, he needs to have a break. I need to sit back and think, but it's like I didn't want to. It's like I had to be that girl at school that was very confrontational. I had to get in there, had to be very defensive. So all those things popped up. Because I didn't really know who I was, I then displayed all of those things out on him. And of course, he didn't know what was really going on. He just tried to deal with the situation, but I'm dealing with the overwhelming situation of what's gone on. And of course, he doesn't know what's going on. And
how many relationships, Sharon? Because all of a sudden, people start behaving a certain way. But it's not something that started after they met. It's something like, in your case, it was from your childhood, right?
Yeah.
The baggage. We even have a Love Talk episode about baggage in the relationship, which, by the way, you can find it on YouTube, previous episodes here, but you should look up that one. So there was this baggage he was unaware of, right? And it was affecting the relationship. But you see, what you said is key today. Understand, when there's an argument or a debate, however you want to call it, it's getting too heated, one is getting upset already, you need to understand that no matter how much you want to discuss the matter, stop, think about the other one. It's time for a break, stop, don't let the emotions get the best of you, don't be emotional at that point. That's why, even though contrary to what many people think, and emotions can really be a problem in the relationship if you're led by them. All of us want good emotions, but good emotions come as a consequence of smart decisions, not of emotional behavior, right?
Because that will bring more problems to the problems that are
and pain to injury, right? Yes. So Sharon, we all want to know. I know you're a different woman today. So
you can see from your smile.
Yes, we can see that. It's plain to see. How was it that you became the Sharon you are today, where you can talk about this, but you're no longer this person?
So it's interesting that you mentioned emotions, because that's what I had. And that's what I it literally led me. It was on the tip of everything. everything that I did, the way I thought, my ideas, my choices, my direction, they were all guided by emotions, which was my downfall. Because if ever you focus on that, you're always going to come to the wrong conclusion, the wrong decision. You're going to react in a way that is impulsive, but it will always be wrong. It will always lead you down the wrong road. No matter how much you try to make everything go right, it won't, because you're being led by emotions. When you're being led by emotions, you have no idea where it's going, because it can't go straight. It's a bit like driving a car with a wonky wheel. It's not going to happen. It's not going to go straight, but you want it to go straight, but it won't. But the way I deal with things now is I realise that having emotions is not a bad thing, because there are good emotions and bad emotions. So it's not bad to have emotions. However, you have to know how to deal with your emotions. You cannot let your emotions drive you and direct you, especially in relationships. Whoever you're with, you have to use intelligent faith. Yes. You have to use your mind. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to be mentally strong. Emotions make you weak.
Yes.
Because you're forever impulsive, and when your brain is in that form, you can't think. But at the time you think you're thinking, but you're not. You're very unaware of what you're doing, how you're behaving. Whereas, so it's literally, intelligent faith helps you to be the opposite of what you were doing. Because you are in control. You know what you're doing. You know what you're saying. You think about it. You know that if somebody wants to stop talking about the subject, let them go. Let them go into the other room, because they need time to think, to have a breath. You know, so, and then to come back. So
you had to learn this intelligent approach to life and to relationships.
I did.
Right? And train yourself to become less emotional, more rational, right? You had to recognize, I am an emotional person. This is not doing me any good. I need to start making the effort to change. Of course, it's not something that you achieve overnight.
No, it's not.
But you're able to change.
It's definitely a progression.
Yeah.
It's something that's consistent. It's something you have to be aware of. You have to change internally. Yes. And you know when you are. It's about, you know, to me, watching this show, understanding what you're like. How do you behave in certain reactions and in certain ways? What's going on? How does that make you feel? What happened at that moment? What's your triggers? If you focus on yourself, you really begin to understand who you are. And I think
love yourself.
You do. Right? I think that's one thing. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know what they do now, but back then, when I was a kid, you know, you weren't taught to look after yourself, understand what you're feeling, why that makes you feel like that, why you're getting angry, why are you upset. I didn't deal with any of that. In fact, I was taught back then to feel your emotions, to pump them up and make
follow your heart.
Yeah, feel your heart, you know, the love heart. We need to focus on that. It's the opposite. I used to listen to all the love songs, you know, used to bring me down. They were the worst, but I listened to them again and again, and then when they weren't on, they were still in my brain. It's the worst thing ever. Using rational faith is the only way forward. Knowing who you are gives you strength, and it helps you in a relationship. It will even help you to not only recognise yourself, but recognise if your partner were doing or saying something that maybe he shouldn't, but he's unaware. So you wouldn't have a go at him, put him down. You'd maybe help him to see things in a different way.
How to deal with
it. Right? You can't do that if you're emotional.
So Sharon, very good. Congratulations on this positive change.
Yes.
Okay, and for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your story and being with us. But stay with us, because towards the end here, we're gonna be dedicating the last minutes on today's show. It's coming to an end. But to show you a few red flags that must be avoided for you to be happy in your relationship. But it's important to learn to love intelligently. If you want also to have some more tips on how to love intelligently, how Sharon was benefited from this TV program. She's sharing here her story. Maybe you also feel affected by something that happened a long time ago when you want to get help. Drop us a line, send us an email, and we'll be glad to hear from you, and in all confidentiality, of course, reply to your email. Now we're gonna see in the last minutes some of these red flags, make some few comments on each one of them. So the first red flag you must avoid is anger and aggression. Well, anger is an emotion, a negative one. It could be good if you're angry at the right thing, right? If you're angry at a problem and you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna get this problem solved. That's fine, but when you're angry at someone and you become aggressive, especially in relationships.
It comes to another level.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. You need to deal with anger in a way that you don't have to act upon it all the time. That takes discipline and effort. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Absolutely.
So it's something to, if this is being an issue to you, get help, but it has to be avoided because, come on, nobody likes to be with someone angry and aggressive, right? Would you? And if you're seeing that this affects you, so you need to see a way for this to change and deal with your anger in a different way, rather than hurting your partner or showing aggression, right?
And if the person is dating someone or getting to know someone that there are these
already
signs,
showing these signs,
need to, that person needs help.
That's a red alert together with the red flag there, right? Be careful. So, emotionally unpredictable, my goodness, I can't think of a harder situation to be with someone. You never know. You open the door and you have to have your shield. I can imagine that medieval, warrior with the shield on, because you never know. He could get a kiss or you could get a knife flying your way. So this is, it's something complicated. Would you agree, Sharon?
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't like that. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I was not like that.
Right.
But
that was calm.
I fully understand that. I remember one thing I always wanted to do was to make sure that I had the last word. For some reason, to me, that was winning. Mm-hmm. So it was a drive. So if I had the last word, then I've won. Saying it now is ludicrous. I've won. Oh my goodness. But back then it was so important. Yes. And if you can imagine, so there's one person and they're talking and then I'm having to talk even louder just to make sure I'm being heard. And then this other person's talking at their normal and I'm still getting louder because I want to make sure they can hear what I'm saying. And I would do this, all the time.
Complicated.
And it was just ridiculous when I think about it.
Yeah, so the remedy to that, once again, you need to practice intelligent love, right? Intelligent love understands emotions cannot be in control, right? You need to be in control of your emotions. You need to act reasonably so that you can steer your relationship to the happy emotions that you want to have, right? The other red flag, jealousy, right? Or being jealous. Of course, there is a healthy jealousy when it comes to exclusivity in the relationship. You want the other person to be faithful to you as you are faithful to the other person, but sometimes it can be too much, right? It can be, jealousy can create scenarios and imaginations. Sometimes people are fantasizing about some horrible plot going on when actually all that happened is that the bus delayed.
It's terrible to be in a relationship like this. All the time the phone is ringing. Where are you?
The person comes home, there's a whole investigation. The spotlight is on your head.
The person gets late 5 minutes. Who you were with.
So I understand that you are watching. You might have an issue with jealousy. You may, I can't help it. It's just, who I am. Okay. But there are ways that you can change. There are ways that you can get help, right? To deal with this in a better way than actually just acting on it. Compulsively lying. Well, this one, there's not much comment needed because lies in a relationship are something that cannot be accepted. Lies and love are simply incompatible.
Yeah.
There cannot be lies.
Yeah, because you cannot trust in a person that's lying.
If you find out your partner is lying to you, of course we're not here to tell you what to do or to try to control anyone, but our advice is step out because you can't really trust. A person who is capable of lying to the one they love, they're capable of anything. And if you put up with that, then
what else the person
yes,
would do.
and then you know, it's your own risk. It's your life, but it's a red flag. Lies are a red flagging in relationship. And the last one for today, of course, there are many others. We just chose some of them. Is acting irresponsibly, right? A lot of drama is brought in when people are irresponsible with their health, irresponsible with their deadlines, with their finances, with their behavior. Sometimes people get married and they want to still live like they were single. They want to arrive home whenever they want. They don't want to talk. They don't want to communicate. So when this happens, the end of this is never good. So if you notice some of these red flags in your relationship, then get help. Once again, you can write us an email and you can get more information. There will even be more content that we don't show here on TV because of the time, available online. Find our YouTube channel, subscribe, and you'll be receiving notifications. We actually upload full episodes of the Love Talk Show, right? Sharon, once again, thanks for coming to the show. It was a pleasure talking to you today, right? Thanks for sharing your story, okay? And you who are watching us, thanks for watching. Don't forget, we are gonna be back next week, all right? With more Love Talk Show just for you. Did you enjoy today?
I loved today, yeah.
Yes, and I did too. And hopefully, so did you. Until next time, bye-bye.
See you.
This program is brought to you by UCKG.